What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Quarantined with Lavell. We live today, and we have some very special guests with us today that we're going to bring in just a few moments. And I'm excited about what's going to happen today. We're going to be talking about the right to vote and the power of the right to vote. So we have some very special guests with us today. We have a candidate for State Representative District 2, Taylor HARRELL, and we have candidate for 32A District Court Judge, REBEKAH Coleman, in studio today. And we're going to talk to them about the power of the right to vote. So what I would like for you to do right now is for you to hit that share button. Just go right on down, hit share. We want to make sure that everyone gets a chance to see this. And also, we would like for you to dialogue with us. So if you have any questions for REBEKAH or Taylor, you can ask those questions, and I'll let them see the questions, and they'll attempt to answer them. So, but the only way I can know who you are is if you go to the link that's in the Kneel Down Productions Facebook group page. It's a StreamYard link. Just click that link. It literally takes less than 30 seconds, so you can do that. And again, make sure you share. We want to make sure that this word gets out to everyone. So please hit that share button right now. Post it on somebody else's page. Post it in a group or whatever, because we want to definitely make sure that everyone gets the opportunity to see this episode where we're going to be talking about the right to vote and the power of voting. So before we do, we're going to, as always, we'll start off with a word of prayer. Father, we come to you in the name of Jesus, Lord, and we thank you so much for this platform, for this wonderful opportunity to share with your people about the right to vote and the power of the vote. We appreciate those who went before us and paved the way so that we could have the opportunity to vote. We thank you so much for them, Father. We ask you to bless us. Give us a mind and a will to go forth and do what you have called us to do. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. All right. So I was thinking, I'm just going to give you a couple minutes to go ahead and share this and to make sure that you, have the opportunity to let someone know that we are on live right now. We're on the Kneel Down Productions Facebook group page as well as YouTube. And I know my uncle is watching. He watches on YouTube. He doesn't have a Facebook account. So I broadcast to YouTube as well for those who don't have Facebook. So you can share this information. Let them know. And I got to give a shout out to my wife. My wife is the one who actually encouraged me to do this episode. So I appreciate her so much. She prays for me every time a show gets ready to start. She will not let me come down into the studio without her praying for me. So I appreciate that and thank God for her. All right. So before we get started, I have some quotes here that I just wanted to share with everyone about voting. Jens Stoltenberg said, "By voting, we add our voice to the chorus that forms opinions and the basis for actions." Former President Barack Obama said, "There's no such thing as a vote that doesn't matter." Larry Sabato said, "Every election is determined by the people who show up." And finally, Susan B. Anthony said, "Someone struggled for your right to vote. Use it." So I just wanted to share those briefly before we got into it. Those have power to them. We have the right to vote, and honestly, it's your decision. Those who went before us that died and gave their lives, they didn't die to give their lives for you to vote. They gave their lives for you to have the right to vote. So you have a right to vote. And guess what? When you do vote, you have the opportunity to have a voice and to say something. If you don't vote, don't come on my Facebook page complaining about anything because you didn't vote. So, but again, that's your choice. But we're going to hear some very compelling reasons as to why you should vote. All right, my first guest is a young lady who is running for state representative in District 2. She came to our neighborhood, to our house, going door to door, passing out her flyers personally. And that was how we met her, and that was how we got her information. Her name is Taylor HARRELL. She is going to be running for Democrat for State Representative District 2. As you can see here, you can go to her website, votetaylorharrell.com, and you can see right there a list of things that she is going to work hard to do. And we are going to bring her into the studio right now. Please help me welcome my guest, Miss Taylor HARRELL. Taylor, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, I'm honored. I truly am. I'm truly honored that you are here today. And I'm honored that you are out there legging it, that you're out there doing it, that you're out here in the community going forth doing what you are called to do.
Yes, I'm sure I'm much darker than the last time that I saw you because I've been out. I was out earlier today, but today is like an extremely hot day. So I wasn't out as long as I usually am out. I'm usually out I started like 6 in the morning and I'll take a break at like 10 and then I'll go back out and typically out to about 9, making sure that I hit every precinct to make sure that everyone knows that I do certainly believe that every vote counts. So I don't mind coming to where they are to share a little bit about myself and the issues that I want to champion once I get to Lansing.
Awesome. Well, we're honored to have you here. And I'm just a minute, I'm going to give you a chance to tell us what it is that you're going to do when you're elected. All right. My next guest is a young lady that I've known for over 30 years. She is she's not as old as I am. She was much younger, but we grew up together in the same church, and her dad went and started a church, and her dad is a judge and she is a lawyer, and she's running for judge. And you know, I really appreciate her because I know her personally. REBEKAH Coleman is running for 32A District Court Judge. I love that slogan. It's not just a job, it's a mission. So I truly appreciate my sister being here. REBEKAH Coleman, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the invite and being here with both you and Taylor. So thank you.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So let's just jump right on in. Let's go ahead and start with you, Taylor. Why don't you go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourself. Just give us a little history about you and what made you want to go into politics. And I know you have an extensive history of dealing with certain things in communities. So let's go ahead and just talk a little bit about that.
Okay, yeah. So my name's Taylor HARRELL. I'm 27. I went to Bowling Green State University where I studied political science and international relations. And immediately following college, I had the opportunity to work for Congresswoman Brenda Lawrence during her first term as a congressional liaison. And I handled immigration, IRS, and Medicare and Medicaid cases. And then following that, I had the chance to work with Councilmember Mary Sheffield quite a bit on ordinances as it relates to affordable housing and gun violence reform. And then I went to Washington, D.C. with Congresswoman Yvette Clarke out of Brooklyn, New York, where she co-founded the Congressional Caucus on Black Women and Girls. And so I helped her spearhead that and try to get young Black women involved in the political arena, as well as understanding how we should be represented in different media channels. But I came back to Detroit in 2016 when Hillary was running for office. I was going to help on the ground, but instead I went back to councilman. Well, I did volunteer. But I went back to Councilmember Sheffield's office and I ran her reelection campaign to Detroit City Council. as I believe strongly in what she was stood on her first term, and I believe that she needed a second term. And then I worked for State Representative Sherry Gay Danyogo as legislative aide, and Rep. Gay Danyogo sits on the Urban Education and Children, Families, and Seniors committees. So I did policy work around that and was very active on the west side of Detroit as well as in my own community on the east side. And then I ran State Senator Stephanie Chang for Senate District 1. I ran her campaign for the cover the east side of Detroit, going down to downriver. And currently, I'm a political director for a nonprofit, Mothering Justice, where we focus on the economic justice for moms of color. I am actually I have taken a leave of absence from there because I am running for state representative. I believe that it was time for me to forge my own path. We do have Democrats currently representing us, but my political priorities are just a little different. I think in this climate, we need to take a stance on criminal justice reform as relates to eliminating cash bail. And then when we talk about criminal justice reform, understanding that it extends past a person that's incarcerated, but also those who are on parole or probation. And so while they're in jail, we need to make sure that they are able to have the programming necessary so upon their release, they can participate in the economy. And then with that, we need to go back a little further and understand that rehabilitation starts at the day of arrest. We can't just have someone arrested, put into the system, and then think that their life is just going to move on as normal, especially African Americans. And then because I'm so young, my auto insurance is $780 a month at my house, and that's not affordable. So I think we need lower auto insurance rates. And I know a new law went into effect July 1st, but it didn't offer real rate relief for urban communities. And then even with the rate relief, we didn't end redlining. So we need to champion that, as well as increasing the minimum wage so people have the opportunity to pay the auto insurance should they want to, should they have it, and not have to choose between paying their rent and paying their auto insurance or rationing insulin, as we've seen people begin dying from doing that because they can't afford their medication. And then ensuring affordable housing for low income families. But when we talk about low income, I'm not just saying, oh, I make under a certain amount. Low income is determined based on the AMI, that's the annual median income for Detroiters. Detroiters is based on Livonia and Warren, and so the average is about at 56,000. But for Detroit, it's actually only $21,000, $21,800 a year for a family of three. So we need to understand that Detroit cannot afford the same price for rent that people in other communities can. So we need to make sure that our rent is reflective of the people in our communities. So that's why I'm running.
Yeah, and that sounds awesome because you know, my wife and I, we each have a car, and the insurance was high, and I just, I wasn't really driving my car often because we were riding to work together. And I was like, I'm just paying this huge amount of car insurance for nothing. So I got rid of it on the other car. And I remember when I called the place, they were like, well, are you going with another company? Or if you don't cut my insurance off and quit asking me all these personal,
Okay.
that's none of your business. So yeah, definitely. That sounds great. Raising the minimum wage would be really, 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 really awesome for a lot of people. So we appreciate you. We appreciate you. So Rebekah, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into politics, and just whatever you want to say. Just you can go right on ahead.
Okay, hi, my name is Rebekah R. Coleman. I've been practicing law for the past 10 years. I've been doing primarily criminal defense work. I've also been doing some probate work dealing with the mental health petitions, as well as Chapter 7 bankruptcies. I kind of have been in the political world my entire life. My mother was the school board president as well as an attorney in the city of Detroit, and she was on the forefront for many causes throughout while she was alive. My father has been a judge since 1992, and I've been in his campaigns over the years, and so I've always had um, a, a place in the political world. What brought me to wanting to run for judge is I just practicing every day in the courts and seeing the disconnect with the community and the judiciary. Um, a lot of people don't understand how important the district court is in our everyday life in our community. It literally touches every single area. And so I want to kind of bridge that gap that is missing, as well as really, be for my community. We're very small. So 32A sits in Harper Woods. So it's small, but it's still a powerful place to be. And so I want to be that accessible judge. When there's an issue and people don't understand things, I want to make sure that things are clear. I want to bring the court into the 21st century and just really change, because there's a need for change here, and I want to be a part of that change. In addition to, I would be the first female judge, as well as the first African American judge in the city.
Oh wow, wow, that is awesome, and that definitely would be awesome. And I've like I said, I've known you for a very very long time, and the one thing that I definitely know about you is that you are fair and you are just. So those are qualities in a judge that I think that's what we want. And it's funny because you talked about your mom, April Howard Coleman, who was the president of the Detroit School Board. She was also our youth leader at the Trinity Deliverance Church when I was younger. She was over the youth department, and I remember when I graduated from high school, your mother gave the commencement speech, and then she called me up on stage in front of 1,000 people, and she gave me $200 right there in front of everybody. It was like the most awesome thing that a 17-year-old kid could go through, being called up on stage by the president of the Detroit School Board, and being given, and she had it all in one, wrapped up real tight. It was truly amazing. But I definitely appreciated your mom. Definitely miss your mom. She was an awesome figure. She was an attorney as well, and so you definitely have that in your blood. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's get into a few questions here. I'm checking. No one's made any comments yet, but if you all want to comment, or if you all have any questions for these candidates, you can definitely go ahead and post them, and hopefully I see them. I know the app, sometimes it shows them, sometimes it doesn't, but we definitely want to make sure that they get the questions. So Taylor, let's start off with you. I have a note here. I said many Black people believe that their votes don't matter, or that their votes don't count. So what would you say to them? Just briefly, and I remember going back to the year 2000, when President George W. Bush was going up against, I don't know if he was Senator or Congressman John Kerry. And I remember when President Bush won, he didn't win the popular vote, but he won the electoral vote. And I didn't know what that meant. I had no idea what the electoral college was. I was blown away. And then later on, I started kind of researching a little bit, and I found out something to the effect, and I'll let you kind of briefly touch on it. But I know different states have, each state has districts or whatnot, but some states obviously are larger than others. So you have a Texas or California that's larger than like a Maine or Delaware. But if they didn't have the electoral college in place, then the candidates for the presidential elections, they would only go to the big states, because that's where all the votes will be. So I know they put the electoral college into place just to make sure that the candidates for presidency would go out to every state, whether it was a Democratic state or a Republican state or whatever, no matter how big or how small the state was, that they would be insured to go out to solicit votes in those areas. That's about the extent that I know about it. You don't have to go too deep into the electoral college, but just briefly kind of touch on it, and then just let us know Just talk to those people who feel like their vote doesn't matter or their vote doesn't count.
Yeah. So I think that's a very valid reasoning. Thinking like your vote doesn't count due to the electoral college or because the candidate could win the popular vote. But the electoral college is similar to like if someone has ever went to a county convention and they're voting based on a population of people. So if a certain demographic or a certain area has voted, let's say a congressional district, the most of the people in this area are going for Joe Biden. That delegate will likely say, okay, this is a Joe Biden vote. And then, well, they'll say, okay, this is a Joe Biden. And then out of all, I think what Michigan has like 20 or 21 electoral. I know I should know how many votes that come out of our state. I just don't know off the top of my head. So it'll be like a majority rules. And so that's kind of how it works. It's a simple survey or like a polling of what our state is really looking for or supportive of, and that's how those votes essentially are cast for our state. So I wouldn't say that your vote doesn't count because the more people that we have vying for a particular candidate, the better off we are, or the closer we are to getting a Democratic president in office or a better president. If those who are not Democrat, if you like Trump, the more get your people to vote for Trump, and then the more likely we'll have the electoral college swaying that way. But it's all about what the state is vying for, and then those people who are representing those particular demographics are going for. So it's not to say that your vote doesn't count. It's essentially a poll, a survey.
Yeah.
That's the best way that I can explain it, or that's how I try to explain it to people on the doors. So I encourage them to just rally up as many people as you can to get behind whatever you believe in, or whomever you believe in when you're going to the polls, and that's how we'll have the electoral college, or the amount of votes that we need to push us over to get the candidate that we want.
Yeah, and again, that quote that I put up earlier from former President Barack Obama, he said there's no such thing as a vote that does not matter. So everyone's vote matters. It may seem insignificant, but yes, your one vote does count. So that's one thing I definitely want to hit home to the people. Last week I had the opportunity to interview some Christian leaders in our communities, Bishop Michael Jones, Apostle Bobby Bracy, and Rebecca's dad, Judge Donald Coleman. And one thing that they all kept saying, several things, but one thing in particular is that you have to get out to vote. If you want to see a change, get out to vote. That was what prompted me to start thinking about this episode. And then my wife kind of said, well, why don't you find some people to interview? She said, your friend Rebekah is running for judge. Interview her. And then it was like very shortly after that was when, Taylor, when you came by and you dropped the, it was funny because my wife and I literally had just sat down to eat. She was on her lunch break at work, and she works from home. And when you knocked on the door, we literally had just sat down to eat. So we didn't even come to the door. I just said, "Who is it?" And you said who you were, and I said, "Can you drop it through the slot?" And afterwards, when my wife got off work, we sat there and we read it. We went over it, and my wife said, maybe you can interview her and Rebekah, and that way they could talk about, the right to vote and the power to vote. So glad you said what you said, and I definitely want to encourage people that your vote does count. Yes, I'm talking to you right now. Your vote does.
Yeah, and then I want to just add really quickly, like in District 2, the district that I'm running in, every vote absolutely counts. In 2016, this race was decided by 16 votes, and then after the recount, it came down to 13 votes. And then in 2018, in another district, a candidate won by just 5 votes. So every vote absolutely counts. So just keep that in mind. Like we had a different. Your state legislator is decided based on 5 votes, really. That's it. Or 1 vote. If 1 vote, that's it.
Wow. So as you all can see, we are down to the wire. Yes, your vote counts. And I'm not even talking about the presidential election. I'm talking about our local representation, our city representation, and our state representation. Your vote does count. So I definitely want to make sure. I want to drive that point home. You're going to hear me keep on saying that as tonight goes on. All right. So Rebekah, my question for you is, it's a simple question, but I think it's a very powerful question. And that question is, how important is it for young Black people to vote? Now, you're young, so I want you to just kind of talk to our young people about how important it is, or why is it so important for young people to vote?
Well, I think we first need to kind of understand the history of getting the right to vote.
Okay.
We were unable, African Americans, to vote fully into 1965. So what that means is, during our parents' lifetime, and I believe Taylor as well, you're a little bit younger than us, but I believe in your parents' lifetime as well, they were not able to vote. Our grandparents were grown when they were finally able to vote. And so, yes, it's a right, but I believe that it's a necessity. We owe it to all of our ancestors who did not have the opportunity to do so. So, and even when things were changing oh, okay, well, maybe African Americans can vote, and women were some of the last people to get the right to vote as well. There were literacy tests, poll taxes, ownership requirements. So there were so many things that prohibited African Americans from voting. And so when we finally got the opportunity, that's something that we should take serious. So,
Yes.
Like I said, knowing the history of it and the struggle, the people that lost their lives were hosed, dogs were put on them. All of that went into finally getting this right. And so we should take it serious. I sometimes say to people, we could be voting for a street sign, and I'm at the poll. Since I turned 18, I would be at school at Michigan State, and I would drive down. I didn't even do absentee. I drove down to turn my vote in, because that's how important it was to me. And so, like I said, when you understand what it took to get this right, you wouldn't waste it, because, like Taylor said, and you said as well, Lavell, every vote counts for everything. Your vote counts because it's your voice, and and you're right that you should definitely take advantage of.
It's really interesting you said that. It's so my wife and I are expecting our first child coming up very, very soon, and we're excited about that. But also, my wife and I are on a program, and we are going to be completely debt free before next summer. So we're going to be like, we're excited about that. We're happy about that. But we talked a little bit about how sometimes, okay, so like, we watched our parents struggle, and my wife even said it today. Even though they may have been struggling, their mother never let them know they were struggling. I said the same thing about my mother. My mother worked so hard, I didn't even know we were broke. She made sure of that. But she also made sure that I understood the importance of valuing money. But once we're completely out of debt and we move and we're somewhere, and our kid is not going to have to go through what we went through. But sometimes children can, how do I want to say, they can not really appreciate things. So I'm glad you brought up the fact that within our parents' lifetime, the right to vote was something that was really just given. So I'm glad you brought that up, because maybe a lot of young people don't know. Maybe a lot of young people don't understand, and they just kind of take for granted the power of the right to vote. So I'm so glad you brought that up. Thank you. That's very, very helpful.
And to really drive it home, my father just celebrated his 60th birthday. To think that less than 60 years ago, Black people did not have the right to vote. Like, that really put it in perspective for me.
Yeah, that is it's scary, but it's a reality, and I think it's a reality that we all need to face, and that we all need to make sure that our children understand that you know we didn't always have this right. My only regret is that I really wish my grandmother would have been able to live to see the first black president elected. My grandmother passed in 2006, and President Obama was elected in 2008. So 2 years. Well, my grandfather, he did make it, and he did get a chance to see that, and so I do thank God. So, all righty, let's go on here. So Taylor, I have a question for you. I know a lot of times we throw all of the responsibility on young people, and I know that was the question that I directed at Rebekah. But is it only young people, young black people that aren't voting, or is it the older people as well? So let's not throw all of the responsibility on the young people. With they have a lot of responsibility, and they are our next generation. They are coming up. But what about is it only the young people that aren't voting, Taylor?
No, so I like when people ask that question. I think young people do vote when candidates come to knock on our doors, or the candidates don't knock on our doors, or they don't send us literature, because oftentimes we haven't had the opportunity to vote enough. So our voter propensity score is significantly low. In 2018, when I ran Senator Chang's state Senate campaign, we had when we created like our mailing list, I was wondering like why I wasn't on it. Like I was like, oh, I didn't get this mailer. And when I went to check my voter propensity score, it was under like 55% or 55 points. And it's usually over 100. When you're between like 55 or 56 to 100, you're likely to get more mail based on like your scoring. So I was under 55 as it related to being like a Democrat. And it was just simply because I had only had the opportunity to vote in 2 presidential elections due to my age. And then I hadn't had the opportunity to vote in that many state primary elections, again, because of my age. And so a lot of times candidates aren't reaching out to us. And it's no fault of theirs. It's just a skewed data that they get from the DNC via an app called or a site called Van. And so that's how, when Mr. Lavell, when I knocked on your door, that's how I knew like your name or whose house I was going to, because I use those sheets, or I use Van to see who my voters are, who am I going to go and talk to. And so that's essentially why they don't see, or why young people might not be on their walk list or on their call sheets. And then also, as I'm knocking or when I'm going into the neighborhoods, it's a lot of older people who are not voting or saying, oh, I don't want nothing you got. No, I don't want to talk about it. No, I don't vote. What has changed? I've had a person say, they told me to take a look around me. You see the house on the corner, and all these empty fields, those used to be houses. I've seen the decline. I've been voting, and I used to vote in every election. They haven't done anything for me. Or just yesterday, I went to someone's door, and he said him and his wife. Well, he just turned 72. Said him and his wife have been in their house for 46 years or something like that. Said I was the first
Mm,
candidate to ever come to their door. So a lot of
wow.
times they feel like their votes are suppressed, or they're just tired of the same old, and so they stop voting. But I think the millennial generation is a new wave of people, and Gen Z is just a whole different, those a whole different type of people. So they are definitely voting, and I think they're more informed and more engaged than what I'm seeing out of baby boomers, and then my mom's generation. So I think that we do vote, and I've actually seen an incline on younger people voting. Then when we have like younger candidates like myself, a lot of my peers are rallying behind me, and then you have House District 4 who has a younger person running, and then I think there's a younger person running in House District 10. They have young people helping them, going door to door, making phone calls for them, because we know that it's about us. That's my campaign slogan. It's about us. It's not about me. It's about us. So there's power in numbers. There's power in us. We've seen Generation Z, when they were fighting back about the gun violence reform, they were able to unseat quite a few people down south. So I think I'm seeing it more from older people than younger people.
Wow.
Personally.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, last week I had some special guests on, and just got a message that Apostle Bobby and Apostle Carol and Bracy are tuning in right now. I had the opportunity to interview Apostle Bobby, and you can go on their page on the Shiloh Deliverance Church International page, and you can see an interview that he did with his son Audio, where he talked about this racial injustice that's going on now. And one thing he said then, and one thing he said on my show last week, is that we need to get out and vote. If you want to see a change, get out and vote. Now, that does not mean that if you go out and vote, then on November the 7th, everything is going, all the houses are going to be rebuilt and flowers going to pop up in your flower bed. It doesn't mean that. It's a progressive thing. We're growing in this and we're growing together. So the power, it's the right to vote, but it's also the power of having that right to vote. And we have to make sure that we engage our young people, which is actually my next question for Rebekah. How do we engage this generation, young and old? How do we engage them to get out, to make their votes count? What can we do? What would be your advice?
Well, my advice is that the candidates really um, explain their points, and really educate, the community on what it is that they're trying to do and why it's important for those things to happen. And because a lot of times when people agree with things, they want to see those things happen. And so, like you said, nothing is overnight. But if you come to me and express that, this, and this are the issues, and if we do this, and that, then this is a solution. And I understand that it's really a possibility. Then yes, I'm more likely to go ahead and go out. So one way I really believe is to really educate the voters, to have more things in the community, such as voter registrations and things of that nature, so that we can get people registered, because that's a problem as well. And maybe even do fun things like I love jogging. Let's take a jog to the poll. Let's do a march to the poll.
Mm,
Let's you know engage everyone, so it's like a big community event versus just an individual thing. Some people may be afraid. Some people may think that I don't know what I'm doing. But if you have someone partnered up with you together, then you're more likely to go and do it. So I think that the big thing is community engagement, and knowledge and understanding of what it is you're doing.
hey man, that
Oh,
is.
the other thing is knowing to complete the ballot. That's a big problem. A lot of times the judicial candidates
Mm,
are on the opposite side, and people think that they only have to, the only important things are the federal elections, when really our local elections are what really, really affect our day to day living. I always say, I grew up in a house with a judge. Yes, I could have possibly grew up with a president as well, but I see a judge every day. I see different,
mm,
talk, ate with them. I've, called them on the phone. I've had relationships with them. I've had relationships with state reps, other city council members, other politicians who are in the local. So I get to touch that area day to day. The federal, I might sit with the president one day. I might not. I doubt it. I might not even be interested in doing that. But my point is, you can touch and feel the local stuff more than you can the federal stuff. So it's important to, yes, vote for the federal, but it's also important to finish the ballot and vote in your local elections.
absolutely. Me and my wife, we vote in every election. It's not. We don't just wait till November every 4 years. Every election that comes up, and I'll be honest, I have to do a better job of educating myself on the different meals and all of that stuff. I'm not really into politics myself, but I think we're in a climate now where everybody needs to begin to educate themselves on the candidates that are running, not only for president or the national, but like you said, down to state and city as well. I think we need to take an active part in that. I think that's something that's very, very important, and that's one of the ways we're going to affect this racial climate that we have going on, because we have to get out and we have to do our part. I really like that idea of you're a jogger. I know you and your dad jog sometimes for many miles, and I probably won't join you in the boat, but I'll stand at the end with the water bottle. I need to get out and jog. You know what? I might jog to the polls in August just to get a little exercise in before the baby get here. All right. So Taylor, as we begin to wrap up, I'm not going to hold you all too long, but I just want you to tell us. My note here says, "Tell us what you will do for the people if elected." But I'm going to change that, and I'm going to say, what are you going to do for the people when you're elected? And again, you are. Let me put it up here. I want everybody to be able to see this. You are running for State Representative District 2. Now, before you go into that, let me put this information here up. I've been kind of researching because I wanted to make sure that everybody is registered to vote. So there's a couple of websites you can go to. You can go to voteparticipation.org or to mi.gov/vote. And on those sites, you can either register to vote or you can check to make sure that you're registered to vote. Actually, like I said, we vote in every election, but I went on there today just to make sure that there wasn't no funny stuff going on in the background. I went on there to make sure that me and my wife were registered to vote. So you can go to these sites, voterparticipation.org or mi.gov/vote. And on those sites, you can register to vote, or you can check to see if you're registered to vote. If you're not sure, check. If you are sure, check. Make sure that you know that you're registered to vote. And I want Taylor to go ahead and tell us what she is going to do if she's elected here. Her on her card, she breaks it down nicely. She is running to be our next state representative. She has a host of family members who are small business owners. They've all taught her the importance of having a strong ethic and work ethic and building opportunities for others. She used to be a statewide organizer. And as she said in the very beginning, she worked for state representatives. So she has the background. She definitely has the knowledge, right? She's not a stranger to hard work. She's going to be dedicated, right? She is going to be one that's going to be there to help make sure everyone has the right to good education, right? Quality health care, to earn a living wage, right? She says that she's going to do these things, and I'm going to let her go ahead and talk about these things a little bit that she's going to try to do, and hopefully she gets your vote. She has my wife and I's vote. Just watching her out there doing the hard work, being willing to come on my little show to talk to us today about voting. Taylor, go ahead and just tell us what you're going to do when you're elected as state representative.
Real quick, I want to say we have put like the information for voting. Just to let everyone know that if they have like a loved one or a friend or a family member incarcerated, awaiting trial or sitting in like a county jail, awaiting trial or hasn't been sentenced yet, they are eligible to vote. So make sure that they're letting their loved ones know that they can vote. And the last day to register to vote without receiving their provisional ballot is July 20th. So all of that has to be in by July 20th, or if they fill it out on July 20th, make sure that it's post dated when they take it into the post office, so that they will be able to receive an actual ballot and not a provisional ballot when they go to the polls or vote absentee. So that's very
Thank
important.
you for that, because I meant to put that in there, that the last date is July 20th. So you got about 11 days. But if you go online, you can do it. And like she said, if you have to write it in, make sure it's postmarked by July the 20th.
Yeah. So first, I want to definitely have like a district office. I don't think it's feasible to ask people to drive to Lansing to come and meet with me. I've been active in like my different community groups in the neighborhood, so I'll always go to those. But the best way I can tell people is how the different things that I want to see passed, like lowering the auto insurance rates and ensuring affordable housing, and then focusing on criminal justice reform as it relates to eliminating cash bail, is not, if you're not in my district, make sure you're voting for other people whose priorities align with mine. It's not enough to just be a Democrat in name only or a Republican in name only, because you can work with people across the aisle. But Lansing is a numbers game. So I always say that I'll fight for it or I'll prioritize these things, because it's not a guarantee. And that's just the God's honest truth, that these things can pass in my first term, second or third term. But definitely having the conversations with the community and letting them know, and them letting me know the different things that they would want to see in these bills. So when the bills are written and they go up before committee, I can get a hearing for the bills with testimony, and the testimony will come right from my constituents, and hopefully they're compelling enough to those who are if we're in majority, if the Democrats are in majority, it'll likely be moved out of committee and go to the floor for a vote. And so it'll start by having a district office and making sure I'm always accessible and listening to the needs of the people. And then when I go to Lansing, making sure, or hopefully, that I'm not sure how like committees are administered, but making sure I'm letting them know these are my priorities. I've shared my priorities long before. I have relationships with current and sitting legislators as it stands now. And then some of the things that I've also prioritized are things that they are working on as well in the legislature. So I didn't go up there with just a blind agenda. I'm going up there with an agenda that's being worked on in part by other legislators. So it'll be a group effort. It's not about me. It's about us. It has to be a collective effort. So that's how I'll definitely get it done, by not being afraid to ask hard questions and work with others.
Yeah, well, I'm honored that you would come on our show, that you would, just take the time to be out in the community. You know, you don't have to do that. And we appreciate you. We truly do. And I'm glad to have a young African American that's going to do what she can to help make sure that my voice is heard. So again, thank you so much. We're not done yet. I'm going to hear from Rebekah. Then I'll let you all have some closing remarks. But thank you, Taylor, for even being on the show today. Thank you so much, and we're very, very proud of you. All right, Rebekah. Same question for you, ma'am. What are you going to do when you're elected as the 32A District Court Judge? What are you going to do for the people, Your Honor?
All right. Well, as the next judge in the city of Harper Woods at the 32A District Court, I promise to bring fairness, experience, and accountability to the bench. I'm a practicing attorney, so I'm in the courts every single day. Right now, we're over Zoom, and I'm in Zoom hearings every day. And I think that that's a very important background that's needed in the judiciary, because we know the ins and outs of what's happening day to day in the daily operation of the courts. I'm also going to bring the court, as indicated, into the 21st century. Have the technology and everything available to the residents, which I believe they are entitled to. I have a business degree, so I plan to use that in helping to bring this court into a more technology age that's currently missing. I also plan to bring various programs and expand on some. I recently got a mental health court, and by me doing the mental health docket a lot, I now know what's happening on the other side of being in these mental health programs. And so I want to expand that and kind of revamp it so that it's truly helping those people who are in need of mental health treatment. I also want to develop different plans for probationary periods that people in the criminal division will be on. I believe a lot of times that there are literacy issues when there's crime involved, from my experience in doing criminal law. It's not across the board, but a lot of times there are literacy problems. And so I believe that that should be a part of any probationary period, so that we're really rehabilitating people and getting them on the right track to be productive members of society and a part of our neighborhoods. And lastly, just bridging the gap, being an accessible judge, finding out what the citizens want and need from the judiciary, and explaining the importance of the judiciary, and making sure everyone knows how the court functions and what's needed. So I plan to bring fairness and be about community.
And what more can you ask? What more can you ask? I think that's a priority. I think that's something that we should all look for. Fairness and justice. And my wife just texted me. Apparently, I'm not getting some of the comments. Usually, they pop up on my screen. I'm not really getting the comments, but my wife texted me and said someone asked if Kanye can run for president. When my wife texts me during the show, I'm thinking she's about to text me something is going wrong or I need to adjust something. She texts me and asks me, she said, one of your viewers, my mother-in-law actually asked, can Kanye run for president? So I don't know if y'all want to deal with that or not, but we'll skip that one. Some people feel like it couldn't get no worse. But anyway, I didn't say that was my opinion. I said some people. But anyway, Taylor and Rebekah, thank you all so much for coming on the show today. I truly appreciate you. I'm going to let you have a few last remarks or last words to the viewers. And again, we can take this program. It's on YouTube, so you can forward this out so that anybody else can see it that didn't get a chance to watch it live. You can forward it on Facebook, just to make sure that the word gets out. I want people to the word to get out and for people to realize that yes, we do have a power in the right to vote. So I'm going to let you, Taylor, go ahead and just have a few last remarks.
Yeah, so I'm just asking, I know the district covers Detroit, Grosse Pointe Park, and Grosse Pointe Farms. And an article was actually just released last week. And it said that I was going to have trouble getting Detroit out to vote, that the momentum was low. And so this election will be decided by the city of Detroit. So I'm asking everyone to come out and come to the polls and just give me a chance. I will definitely lead with gravity, grace, and grit. As I wrote on my literature, I will always stand flat-footed on social justice issues and things that I believe in. I will never waver. I have made a commitment not to take corporate or corporate PAC money. I will never take it. I can't be bought. I am people-driven. I understand the issues that are facing our communities, as I have a pulse on it, as I am in it every single day. I just actually went to a precinct earlier that had it was about 600 houses, but only 18 voters in that precinct out of 600 homes. So I'm always accessible, and I will always come to you. So I'm just asking that everyone gives me a chance. Yes, I'm young, but I have the energy and zeal necessary to serve in this climate.
Yes, and we believe that. And I think that's awesome. And Taylor, you at least have me and my wife's vote. And I'm gonna talk to my mother-in-law, my mother, my pastor, and our church. And again, I remember Apostle Bracy said something last week. He said he doesn't tell his parishioners how to vote or who to vote for, except for Judge Donald Coleman and now Judge Rebekah Coleman. So we definitely are not trying to tell anyone how to vote, but we wanted to offer this platform to you so that you can let people know what you would do. And from what I'm hearing and seeing, you are going to do a lot of good. So again, Taylor, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So Rebekah, what are you going to do when you're elected? You answered that question very professionally, very well. And again, like I said, I've known you for a long time. You have a quote here that fairness is the common thread that ensures that justice is the outcome of every case. I promise to promote fairness as your next judge of the 32A District Court. So we're going to let you just have a few last words. You can go ahead and just speak your heart to our potential voters.
All right. Again, I want to thank you for allowing me to come on this platform today. And I guess I really should thank LaKenya because she's the brains behind it all. But I'm asking everyone to go out and vote. I'm on the ballot in November because it's only 2 people on the ballot. So come out in August and get your vote out because your vote counts. And like I said, I'm in Harper Woods. It's a small city, but most people who live on the east side know someone who's in Harper Woods. So I'm asking you all to spread the word, let everyone you know about me. It's time for a change, and I'm ready to make that change in the city of Harper Woods. You can check out my website. It is www.colemanforjudge.com. We need volunteers. We are hitting the streets, and we're hitting them hard. And so I need people to help me just canvass the neighborhoods because, like I said, change is coming, and I'm ready. I'm ready for it. I'm bringing fairness, experience, and accountability. We need judges who have the right temperament and who are ready to hold the parties to their standards. And a lot of times that's missed. And so we need to have a change in the judiciary, especially in the district courts. That's where everything starts, and we need people to come out and vote in those races.
Absolutely. Again, we thank you both so much for coming out. And your website again is www.
ColemanForJudge.com.
ColemanForJudge.com. And I know Taylor is www.VoteTaylorHarrell.com. I will post both of those on the link to this episode of Quarantine with Lavell. My wife texted me and told me to make sure I give those dates out again. So for Taylor, you want to vote on Tuesday, August the 4th. That's Tuesday, August the 4th. Make sure you go out.
Detroit,
Taylor Harrell.
Detroit elections are won in primaries. Like in the city of Detroit, August is our November. So that's very, very important that people know that they have to vote in August in order to have a successful November election.
Absolutely. So Tuesday, August the 4th, go out and vote for Taylor Harrell for state representative for District 2. And on Tuesday, November the 3rd, go out and vote for Rebekah R. Coleman for Judge, 32A District Court. Again, ladies, thank you all so much for joining me today. I truly appreciate you all for being here. And I just want to let our people know as we close this episode, thank you for tuning in. Please share this. Please post it out. Go on YouTube, get the link from YouTube and text it out to your friends. It's less than an hour long. You can watch these phenomenal young Black women who are soliciting our votes so that they can make, not just to make a better life for themselves, but so that they can help us out. When I had Apostle Coleman, Apostle Bracy, and Bishop Jones on the show, they said several things. So these next couple of weeks, I want to deal with some of these things that they say. I didn't just have them on the show just so that they could be on the show. No, I want to help initiate change. So this week we talked about the power of the right to vote. So make sure you go to these websites, voterparticipation.org or mi.gov/vote. You can register to vote there. Check your registration to vote. You can mail in your vote. I got a letter here somewhere to mail in. That was where I got the information from for the website, or one of the websites. And then I'm in a group text with some people, and they sent me another one. So I wanted to make sure it's on there. So make sure you go to the websites of these young ladies. I'm going to post them on there. Vote. I'm sorry. I'll get them and I'll post them on there to make sure that you all have that information so that you can get more information on Rebekah, more information on Taylor, and then you can make an informed decision to vote. But another thing that the apostles and the bishop said last week was finances. That was something very, very important as well. So next week, I am going to have on the show Mr. David Mosley from Mosley Consulting. He works with the Dave Ramsey Group, and he is going to help us out on getting out of debt, getting our finances in order. So if we want to make a change in our communities, we have to get out the vote. We have to have streams of income coming in, and we have to be healthy. So the week after that, then I'm going to have John Jones from JC Jones Boot Camp on the show, and we're going to talk about health and wellness. So we have a great lineup over these next couple of weeks. So make sure you continue to tune in to Quarantined with Lavell. Again, thank you, ladies, so much. Don't forget, August 4th, vote Taylor HARRELL for state representative, and November 3rd, vote Rebekah Coleman for 32A district court judge. Again, thank you all so much for joining in. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next week when we talk to financial consultant David Mosley from Mosley Consulting in Flint, Michigan. He's going to help us to realize what we have to do to get out of debt so that we will not be held back by finances, and we'll be able to go forth and do what God has called us to do. God bless you, and we'll see you next